we're discussing or diving into the critical areas of customer acquisition, strategic sales scaling, and unlocking growth through existing customer relationships.
I'd say one of the first things to understand that I tell businesses is your biggest competition today isn't actually your competitor, it is your customer. And the reason I say that is because today customers get to decide who they want to talk to.
And as we shift focus to measuring growth effectively, let's kind of explore how businesses can ensure that they're tracking the right indicators to maintain momentum and drive long-term success.
But to be honest, Maheen, in executive rooms, in your board, talking about leads is not going to garner a lot of support, because at the end of the day, if leads don't convert to pipeline and pipeline doesn't convert to revenue, you're not speaking the language that your board cares about. You're not speaking the language that your CEOs care about.
If you are looking to improve your customer acquisition and scale your sales, then please remember a strategic approach to visibility and growth is key. This is Maheen and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast, where we explore the strategies and insights that drive growth and visibility for businesses in today's competitive landscape. Now, today we're discussing or diving into the critical areas of customer acquisition, strategic sales scaling, and unlocking growth through existing customer relationships. Now, recent trends highlight the challenges many businesses face in standing out, efficiently spanning their sales efforts, and maximizing the value of their current customers base. This discussion will provide valuable insights into how to navigate these complexities and achieve sustainable growth. And to do that, joining us today is Imraan Hassam, the SVP of Marketing and Fractional CMO, an expert in building go-to-market playbooks that have scaled growth for several software and services businesses across fintech, insurance, and transportation technology and education verticals. And today, we'll discuss customer acquisition and visibility, scaling sales strategically, and growing through existing customers. So without a further ado, let's welcome our guest, Imraan. Imraan, we're very pleased to have you on the show today. How are you?
Oh, Maheen, my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me. I'm well.
Very pleased to have you with us. Now, Imran, let's kind of open our conversation by understanding customer acquisition visibility, because many businesses, they face challenges when it comes to gaining visibility in a crowded market. Why do so many great businesses, they still struggle to get noticed even when they have a strong product or service? And what are some of the underlying reasons for this challenge in customer acquisition visibility?
Yeah, it's a great question and a big one. I'd say one of the first things to understand that I tell businesses is your biggest competition today isn't actually your competitor, it is your customer. And the reason I say that is because today customers get to decide who they want to talk to, who they want to invite to the RFP. So they're going on ChatGPT, they're talking to referrals, they have all the power in that buyer journey. So at the end of the day, even though businesses have a great product market fit or great sales engine, at the end of the day, if they're not being seen and heard in time when that journey is happening, they're not going to be visible and they're not going to be invited to their RFP to pitch. So the question becomes, how am I supposed to even make an impression if I can't see or speak to a prospect? And that's where I think branding becomes such a big play. And one of the common challenges that I've found is that there's a very big distinction between what we call the brand identity, which is how a business wants to be perceived in the eyes of the customer, and the brand reality, how they're actually perceived in the eyes of the customer. And that disconnect between perception versus reality is what so many businesses struggled with in terms of getting noticed. So if I can, one of the exercises I usually ask is, if you tech any SMB business on this podcast listening, if they go to their website right now and they pretend they were a prospect and they take 20 seconds, which is longer than the average attention span of a user, is it very clear why they do what they do and the meaning and the impact that it has on their end customer? Oftentimes, Maheen, what I find is either you're living in feature function narratives, you're either forcing the user to do a lot of work because you're using a lot of fancy words like revolutionary, thought-provoking, great buzzwords, but it just means the prospect has to work that much harder to uncover what you do. Or you're assuming that your prospect's already familiar with your brand. So when you get to the website, you're assuming that they already know who you are, but you're completely ignoring the set of the buyers that don't know who you are because your brand hasn't resonated. So that becomes some of the challenges when you're actually trying to get noticed in the market. So Maheen, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'd like to give a framework that we use in our businesses a lot of the times, and it's called the is, does, means. So when you're making a value statement on your website, the framework I encourage businesses to use is, let's use this as an example. This is my cell phone. That's what it is. and it allows me to make video calls. That's what it does. But what it means to me is that I can keep in touch with my daughter when I'm 8,000 miles away, when I'm traveling on the road. So if I'm a small, medium business, and let's say I do emergency medical software, and my job is to be there for emergencies and serve care, what I do might be a real-time feature that I've introduced. That's what it is. It's a real-time feature. What it does is it enables me to figure out where these emergencies are happening so I can respond. But what it means is I could save seconds. And that's the difference between saving a life and losing a life. So I think a lot of businesses get the what right, and they get the what it is we do and how we do it. But what it actually means, that's what's missing when you actually look at their sites. So it's moving from function to feeling, from utility to meaning, from product to human connection. Because at the end of the day, there are people that are making these decisions. So once the RFP specs have been met, it's, can I trust this person? Do I want to work with this person? Are they just a vendor or another partner? Does that make sense?
Right. No, those were some insightful things that you've highlighted, Imran, and it's a very common frustration for many small businesses as well. And it highlights that having a great products isn't just enough. Effective visibility is also very, very crucial. Now, once business they start getting noticed, the next challenge that they face is how to scale effectively. So let's discuss strategic approaches to growth. Now, as businesses grow, as I mentioned earlier as well, that finding the right strategy for scaling becomes a top priority. Now, Imran, a lot of growing businesses, they're still trying to figure out that's how to that scale, whether that's through sales, marketing, or product. Is there something that you've seen how businesses approach growth that they might be getting wrong?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think a lot of businesses tend to think from a functional lens versus a go-to-market lens. So I'll give you an example, Maheen. If I'm not hitting my sales targets today, intuitively, the right thing to do is to hire more salespeople.
Right.
That is a functional solution to a functional problem. The go-to-market way of thinking about it would be, hey, let me take a step back. Do I know the size of my market? Do I know how much of that market I can capture? What's my total relevant and obtainable market? If I haven't taken the time to size my market, then I may actually not know how many reps I need to hire to cover that market. So I may actually end up over-investing or under-investing in the number of salespeople that I actually need, right? To give you another example, let's say you're a business that's not hitting their net new logos, and that's part of your mandate. I need to generate more net new logos. The immediate functional way of thinking about that is I should go hire 4 account managers, 4 account executives to close net new deals. But if I haven't taken the time from a go-to-market lens to look at my existing customer base, I may actually find that there's so much untapped potential within my existing customer base to actually grow revenue and bring them in a lot quicker because the win rates are higher, the deal cycles are shorter, that I might have a chance here to bring in revenue quicker rather than make this massive investment on hiring 4 net new sales reps. So I might actually need 1 account manager and 1 new sales rep so that I can bring the revenue in before I can scale for expansion. So if I were to look at everything from a functional view, I would miss that big picture. I would move to functional solutions. Whereas a go-to-market way of thinking for businesses is looking at your product market fit. It's looking at your market sizing. It's looking at your brand and sales engine. It's looking to see whether you have a brand identity versus reality gap. It's looking at your customer experience and expansion opportunities. So having that entire piece of the puzzle by taking that 60,000-foot view prevents businesses from making those siloed decisions. And that's where I feel like a big gap is for a lot of companies.
That's a very insightful point, Imran. And it sounds like a disjointed approach to growth can actually hinder progress.
Yeah.
If you are looking to improve your customer acquisition and scale your sales, then please remember a strategic approach to visibility and growth is key. Let's get back to our conversation with Imran and explore how to measure growth effectively. And many businesses, they focus heavily on new customer acquisition, but there's immense potential within the existing relationships. Let's kind of discuss this often overlooked area. Now, Imran, focusing on nurturing relationships with our customer base can really unlock significant opportunities for growth and loyalty. And a lot of businesses, they're focused on bringing in new customers, but they should be spending more time expanding existing accounts instead. What are the benefits of focusing on current customers for expanding?
So it's a great question, Maheen. I think a lot of businesses prioritize net new logos, and yes, they are very important. But a lot of the times, the low-hanging fruit is actually within our existing customer base. We know our existing customers have higher win rates, they have quicker deal cycles. It's an opportunity to bring in a lot more revenue quickly that you can then use to scale towards investments in net new logo searches. I think the 5 questions that I ask businesses to look at when it comes to their existing customer base is, have you taken the time to do a white space analysis to understand what products your current customers currently have, and what is the revenue potential to be able to either cross-sell or expand the offering of your existing products.
Mhm.
That white space analysis exercise gives you tremendous visibility on how much untapped potential there is within your existing customer base. It often gets ignored. The second thing to do is, if you know that there's untapped revenue potential, have you designed an account plan around how you're actually going to capture that revenue potential? Do you have a plan to get there? The third is the people. Lots of businesses have order takers as opposed to account managers. Account managers are proactively using their account plans to fill that white space,
Mhm.
to generate that great relationship with your customers. Order takers are sitting there waiting for customers to call them and say, hey, what do you want? So do you have the right people? And then the fourth question is, are you looking at your net new and your back to base funnels as one view of your business? Because they're two completely different processes to buy. So looking at your net new funnel and separating it from your back to base, your existing customer funnel, is a great way to determine whether you have the right strategies to go after each. You never want to combine them. And then the last question I always say to businesses is, track your net revenue retention.
Mhm.
This is a perfect indicator of whether your existing base is growing with you or whether your existing customer base is shrinking. If your customer base is shrinking, you have a whole new problem altogether that might be deeper. Maybe your customer experience after you onboard a client is not good. Maybe your implementation process is horrible. Ultimately, net revenue retention needs to be addressed before you start patching things with net new logos, because it's only a matter of time before it starts to become a problem if your net revenue retention isn't under control. So I think it's a great example to help a business validate whether they're growing with their existing base or whether they're shrinking.
Right, and that's a very important reminder, Imran. The cost of acquiring new customers, they often overweights the effort of retaining and expanding the existing
Yeah.
ones. Please stay tuned as we take a quick break. When we return, we'll explore how to measure growth effectively, ensuring that your business stays on the path to sustainable success.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. You still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
Welcome back, everyone. Now let's dive deeper into how businesses can measure their growth and ensure that they're tracking the right indicators to keep momentum going and drive long-term success. And as we shift focus to measuring growth effectively, let's kind of explore how businesses can ensure that they're tracking the right indicators to maintain momentum and drive long-term success. Because when it comes to measuring growth, a lot of businesses they focus on leads or one single metric. What should they really be tracking, Imran, to know if their pipeline is healthy and their growth efforts are truly effective?
Yeah, leads are great for marketers. It gives them some intelligence around the hand raisers, their messaging, and all of that. But to be honest, in executive rooms, in your board, talking about leads is not going to garner a lot of support, because at the end of the day, if leads don't convert to pipeline and pipeline doesn't convert to revenue, you're not speaking the language that your board cares about. You're not speaking the language that your CEOs care about. So I'd say, looking at your pipeline health, there's 4 metrics that you can look at. The first is, are you increasing the number of opportunities, qualified opportunities in your pipeline? Number 2, are you increasing the total contract value of the deals that you're bringing in? So if you're bringing in the right ICPs, then you're bringing in ideally larger contract sizes that fit your offering. Number 3, are you improving your win rate? Sometimes doubling your win rate can have the same impact as doubling the number of opportunities. And number 4, are you decreasing your sales cycle? Because if you're doing that, your pipeline velocity is improving. You're converting more money through the door. So a lot of businesses think it's all about leads. It's not about just leads. It's about pipeline intelligence. And there's 4 levers at play that you can now use. You can increase opportunities, increase contract values, increase win rates, or decrease your sales velocity. Would it be all right if I shared an example with you, Nate?
Absolutely.
Okay. We have a business right now that has a partner channel. It only generates 3 opportunities. We have another channel on their website that generates 15. On the surface, it looks like the website channel is amazing, 15 opportunities versus 3. But when you start to look at those pipeline intelligence metrics, the win rate on the partner channel is twice as high,
Right.
because it's coming from a credible partner. The total contract value is significantly higher because it's attracting the right ICP. And the win rate from a partner channel is much higher than the win rate from our website. So what that tells us is the velocity through that channel is actually quite strong. And so what it ended up doing for that business is they actually ended up hiring a director of partnerships to capitalize on that channel. So my intent here is not to say that one channel drives your deals. It takes a village to close a deal, but I'm trying to provide some additional pipeline health metrics that would help a business not just get hung up on looking at lead volume. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. No, that's a very practical and crucial point, Imran. A holistic view of the pipeline, it provides much more accurate insights into the business health. Now, as businesses evaluate their product market fit, let's consider how they can adapt their offerings to continuously meet the evolving needs of their customers, because adapting to changing market condition is crucial for businesses. Imran, even if a business or a company has been successful in the past, how can they know whether they still have product market fit today, specifically or especially with rapid changing market conditions and consumer expectations?
Yeah, it's such a good question. And I say this respectfully. I think it's so arrogant sometimes for companies to assume that they still have a product market fit just because they had one 10 years ago, right? I think it's really important to check in with your existing customers and understand, is the core problem that you're solving still relevant? What businesses tend to think, and this is a blind spot, is, oh, I'm coming up with features. That's cool. That must mean my product's evolving. Developing features is not the same as asking your market if you're still solving the core problem that they actually care about. And so what I encourage businesses to do is, when it comes to their product market fit, ask yourself these questions. Is our product roadmap evolving with the changing expectations of our customers as the market changes, as the industry changes, as the market dynamics change? Question number 2, is our product sticky and well entrenched in the ecosystem of our customers? The stickier you are, the harder you are to replace. Question number 3 to think about is, if you weren't here today, if you just disappeared, would your customers notice? Are you that big part of their plan and their ecosystem, or it would not matter to them?
Right.
Number 4 would be, are you stuck in the idea of doing custom work for every client? Custom functionality, custom integrations? Or are you actually building a product that's scalable towards your entire base? That distinction is the difference between earning revenue that's professional services versus productizing and earning recurring maintenance, stable revenue that you can depend on. So it's a very different business model, whether you're a services firm or if you're a product firm. But people don't look at that difference because they get stuck in the habit of doing all this custom work because they want to win the business.
And that's a very important reminder, Imran. I mean, product market fit isn't a one-time achievement, but an ongoing assessment. And this was a very enlightening conversation with you, of course. And we'd love to conclude by summarizing some of the key insights for our listeners. So, Imran, please tell us what is that one thing you wish more businesses would do to grow smarter and faster, and what are the key takeaways from this conversation that you'd like our listeners to remember?
Yeah, I would say the one thing that I encourage people to do is to observe your customers. So I don't mean through QBRs. I don't mean through forecasts. I mean actually sit where they sit, spend time with them on site, stand where they stand, see how your product actually makes a difference in their ecosystem. One of 3 things will happen, Maheen, and the third one's my favorite. The first is, when you spend time with your customers on site, you're first of all going to improve the relationship. Whatever that dynamic was before, the fact that you're plugging into their ecosystem and know where they're going is going to create the cadence and that stronger dynamic that you had prior to coming on. It'll be a much better improvement in the relationship. The second is, you'll come back with a ton of ideas around how to actually support their product roadmap and how to make yourself more entrenched in their ecosystem. So you'll seem a lot more like a partner than a vendor. But the most important takeaway is, it shifts your mindset from how do I make myself successful with my customer to how do I make my customer successful with their customers.
Mm.
That is a massive mindset shift. So if you focus on the end customer and what your customers care about, you're going to automatically win because you're doing what's important to them. And that is a massive shift that our businesses have seen, pivoting the narrative to the end customer, knowing that if we make them successful, we'll be successful with our customers. So observe your customers and think about the end customer.
That was amazing. Thank you so much, Imraan, for being so detailed and thorough and for giving such practical insights with our listeners today. Your advice on growing smarter and faster is truly valuable. And we really appreciate the time that you took to join us. So thank you for that.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
And that was an insightful conversation with Imraan Hassam, the SVP of Marketing and Fractional CMO, on the critical aspects of customer acquisition, strategic sales scaling, and unlocking growth through existing customer relationships. His expertise in building Go-To-Market Playbooks offers valuable guidance for businesses that are looking to achieve sustainable growth. Again, thank you for tuning into the podcast. We really appreciate your continued support. Please be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more expert insights and resources that can help your business thrive. You can visit our website, CanadianSME.ca, for valuable information and tools. Special shout out to our partners, RBC, UPS, Avon Global College, and Google for their ongoing commitment to empowering small businesses in Canada. Until next time, please keep innovating and striving for success. We'll see you in the next episode.